Alright guys, welcome to another week in gaming with BlueGamer.net on Blue Gamer TV. I'm Adam Blue, and this week's very interesting. After E3, you know, you think it'd be all calm and everything, but no, all this backlash on Xbox policies. But let me start off. So I reserved a PS4. I went ahead and did that. Now, GameStop is where I reserved it just so I could pick it up that day. $100 slap down, gets you to reserve one. It's pretty cool. You can almost like make installments, make payments to get it paid for, because if you're going to reserve both of these consoles, that is going to take some time. Basically, I went to reserve the PS4, and while I was there, I was just casually, like I do every time at GameStop, casually talking to the associate there, and kind of talking about the Xbox One. He said he was still excited about it, but he went into a little more detail. He was talking about how Microsoft and GameStop have kind of a relationship for used games where you can trade in a game, and a game could be traded in once. If you buy it used, that used copy cannot be traded in again. Maybe I've been gone. I know my week has been crazier than ever, but I did not know about this. I did not know that you can trade in Xbox One games if the publisher enables this DRM, but it can only be done once. But let's forget about all this, because that doesn't even matter anymore. Because as soon as I went home after reserving my PS4, Microsoft announces that they are no longer having all that crazy DRM. You no longer have to be online. There's no more 24-hour check, and you can sell, you know, used games, let your friends play the used, games, buy used games. I mean, that's great. This is just, it's like, it will act as a 360 does. Well, no, it'll act like any other console has ever acted, you know? So that is great news. That is bad news for my wallet, but that is great news for gamers everywhere. I mean, just an example, the other day I was able to pick up a copy of Star Fox Command on DS. Never had it, but always been looking for it. I was able to get it pretty cheap. Someone was selling it cheaper than it normally goes for. You know, if we lived in a future where you couldn't play used games, you know, if you can't find it new anywhere, how would you get it? You know, and obviously if there's a digital version out there to get, that's great, I guess. But, you know, digital versions aren't always the cheapest, especially if someone's trying to clear their inventory. You know where I'm getting at with that. So anyway, along with this though, Microsoft did say they had to remove some features, which I don't really care, to be honest. So there's the family sharing plan. So with the Xbox One, you're able to share your games with up to 10 other family members, although Microsoft themselves said it doesn't have to be family, it could be friends or anyone. So you can be sharing your collection with someone else. They could play games from your collection. And the only thing is you can't play the same game at the same time. That makes sense. So apparently that's going to be nixed. But and people are kind of pissed. It kind of seems like a neat feature, but people are kind of pissed that now that's getting. But I mean, what do you know? Pick and choose. Do you want used games or do you want the family sharing plan? Although that does sound pretty cool. Here's the thing, though. Apparently, it was going to be further announced this week, if not for their backtracking on DRM, that the family sharing was only going to allow like timed or limited use of that shared game. So it wasn't even going to be the full game like we all thought it would be. So that's pretty interesting to see. I guess something that's not really related to the Xbox One and PS4 like we've been talking about forever, and that's really what this episode is about. Steam may be, and it's a rumor, Steam may allow for streaming music through their UI, which would be very awesome. And I wrote a blog post about this, but let's just think about it for a second. You're playing your game, and you want to like listen to some music instead of the music that's included in the game, which, hey, normally soundtracks of video game music are awesome. We want to support those guys. But, you know, you just want your own music sometimes. You can hit the Shift F1. Maybe there's music controls. Maybe it allows you to select a library you want to stream from. And apparently there's going to be Spotify integration. Now, that would be really cool. I talked about that in a blog post. You know, I play Battlefield 3, and sometimes I just want some music to go along while I'm playing and all the action's happening. So I'll have like, you know, Windows Media Player just playing my library, and then I'll, you know, adjust some keys to do some things, but to have it like built in, that's pretty cool. But now let's go to the comments. So this one's actually from the video before, but someone just commented recently. They said to me, nice hand gestures. Thanks. I don't know if that's, you know, a real positive comment or sarcasm, But yes, I do know sometimes my hands go crazy, but you gotta admit, not as crazy as Adam Sessler. I mean, I could do a whole episode where I am like Adam Sessler, and that would be hilarious. But no, that's his charm. That's what makes him cool in a way. But thanks. I have actually been told to kind of keep my hands away, you know, so I'm trying to work on that, but, you know, it happens. Anyway, something related from what I was asking to be commented on last time. This is from Flagship X. Titanfall and Quantum Break both look great, and Rise looked better. Having enjoyed Ninja Blade, it being QTE heavy doesn't stop me from thinking it would be enjoyable. Ninja Blade was a great game. And yeah, it was QTE heavy, but it worked just kind of like how it worked in Shenmue. Sometimes QTEs are okay, it's part of the flow of the game. Sometimes they're just there because the developer really doesn't know what else to do. But moving on with what he was saying, he says he doesn't like the price of the XB1. He thinks Kinect, if you take it out of the box, that might get it at the right price range. So I see what he's saying exactly. And he's saying the family sharing does make it seem more interesting. However, if it was a day one purchase, probably PS4. Seems like the better buy out of the gate. And that's exactly what I've been thinking everyone else has. But with this new, with Microsoft going back on the DRM, I wonder if that changes people's minds. I mean, I'm be interested to see what happens this next week. So, and here's another one from Bob Childress. He says, I would go with Rise and PS4. Just look at the history of DivX. The discs, not the video player. They require hitting server for DRM, and some people had dozens of movies that are unplayable today as the servers are long gone. That's interesting to think about. I mean, that's interesting even if, let's say, Steam servers went down for some reason for good. Look at all those games we had, even though a lot of them actually can be played without the Steam DRM. I guess it really just depends how people use a platform's DRM. For this week, in the comments, this was a short week in gaming, but I think the big news was Microsoft backtracking on their DRM policy. I want to know what you guys think. Does this now change everything? Do you guys now want to buy an Xbox One? I know I do. It's still 500 bones is quite a bit. But Dead Rising 3 and Rise look great. You know, I gotta say, I personally am gonna go pre-order an Xbox One. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. And as for the giveaway for Dust and Elysian Tale, the winner is the Krakatoans. In his comment, Noogie is awesome, which, by the way, that is the developer of Dust, Noogie, and he's awesome. He posts a lot of NeoGAF, and on Twitter, he's very friendly, very nice guy, and very creative, as Dust is one of my favorite games I've ever played. It's just so great. And he says, I think my favorite of E3 would have to be Mirror's Edge, the reboot. Enjoyed the original immensely. PS4 pretty much blew Xbox One out of the water. Yes and yes. As for Mirror's Edge, you know, I never really got into it. I thought it was okay. I probably need to revisit it now. It's great seeing all this hype over it and then a reboot. Interesting that they want to make it a reboot. I guess that kind of means there were some problems with it initially, and it's more about, it had a great cult following, but obviously it just wasn't there, and is why it took so long for there to be a sequel. So a reboot is in order for that. And I guess that's it. If you would like to comment, let me know, or just discuss if you guys are now willing to get an Xbox One. If you're gonna go ahead and pre-order it, if now without the DRM gone, or let me know if you prefer the other way and why. I would be interested in seeing that, because next week I will pick a winner, and it's this number generator you can find online. It's actually pretty convenient, makes my job easy, for State of Decay on Xbox Live Arcade, which is pretty awesome zombie survival game. You might want to check that out. Go ahead and comment, possibly win that game. And you know, I think that's it for this week. So if you can, go ahead and subscribe. You know, click here, and then as always, there's other videos you can watch that are over here. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you next week.